And we are live with another episode of the MMA UK Late Show. I'm joined this week by Andrew Fisher. Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Hi, you all right?
Wonderful, thank you. And Stuart Stoomboy Henderson, who I'm meeting for the first time virtually, a member of the MMA UK team. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And you did a mammoth interview earlier on today, so I really appreciate you getting back on again this afternoon, this evening.
Definitely. Not a problem at all.
And as ever, I'm joined by my co-host, Peter Knox, who is recovering from COVID. How are you feeling, Peter?
I feel like shit, but we're getting there. I went back to work for a couple of days this week and felt even worse, but I'm off this week, so I'll have a rest, and then hopefully I can get back to normal and everything will be hunky-dory again. My kids have still got a week off school. Their isolation keeps changing because my partner got it. So they're happy because they've got a week off school. It's 3 weeks they've been off now.
Oh, so, my God.
I know.
Well, not their situation, but glad that you're on the mend. And you're going to tell us about our sponsor for the last week. Last time they're sponsoring the MMA Late Show.
Yeah, not only has COVID fucked me up, they fucked our sponsor up. Obviously, a lot of companies and people have lost their jobs, obviously through this difficult times and all that. So obviously, Fightful have to be a bit more careful and all that. I know they are still trying to do big things within the sport and stuff, and actually going into other sports as well. Like netball and stuff was one of the ones I've seen them mention, but obviously they need to be a bit more careful. They leave on great terms. I love what we've done for them, and they might come back one day once if we can ever get back to the old normality and all that. So, for the very last time, the MMA UK Late Show is sponsored by Fightful. Fightful is a supplement and clothing company founded by martial artists for martial artists and all combat sport athletes. The aim of the company is to supply supplements and clothing of the highest standard to all fighters and warriors so they can train, perform and win, just like Andu.
Well, thanks again to Fightful for the sponsorship, and hopefully we can partner with them again in the future. Wish them all the best. But guys, welcome to the show. Andrew, going to start with you. Congratulations on a massive win at Bellator a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, thank you.
It was an amazing start to the card. I'm very close with the GB Top Team guys, and Ash Grimshaw is a legend and a warrior. How did it feel to face him? How do you feel the fight went, and how did you feel afterwards?
I can't remember, but I might have been meant to fight him before. I can't remember. It just rings a bell a bit, and and if it did, obviously it never materialised. But I think even when I first went pro, I think Ash was always one of the best ones in the country then. So obviously I'm pleased I got to fight him as well, and I thought he was really good. Actually, I thought it was a good fight.
It was a brilliant fight.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. He had me in some little tricky situations, but I did feel quite. I felt quite comfortable the whole time. I know I dropped the first round, but I was a bit of a slow start, I think. And then I think I picked it up nice the second and third, and I felt alright afterwards. I try not to be too. I try not to be too excited after wins as well, you know.
Well, it was a really good fight, a really good opening to the whole event. I just really enjoyed it. And like you said, that you two might have been meant to face each other before. I was really surprised that you hadn't fought each other before. When I looked through both your records, you've both fought everyone.
Yeah. Did you hear the commentators keep calling us old and stuff as well?
Yes, I did.
They're like, yeah, I didn't think it was that bad.
They had the thesaurus out of every word that they could use to suggest.
Oh, I know. Kept cracking jokes, didn't they?
Well, you certainly didn't look like that in there, and also the fact that you hadn't fought for 3 years. Did you feel any ring rust or anything at all?
I don't know. I always get quite nervous, so I was nervous beforehand, but I always was, and I definitely think I started a bit slow, but I think it's because he's obviously known he's left-handed. So I obviously spent a lot of my time prepping for a left-hander, and I've done a lot of travelling about and spent money going to find left-handed people, and then he came out right-handed, so maybe that put us off a bit.
Bastard, messing up your game plan, eh?
I only sparred with left-handed people for that whole fight.
Oh my God. And I was gutted to hear him or see him put up a post afterwards and said that was his last fight for Bellator. So I felt that was a real shame after, like, it was a real spectacle and it was such an enjoyable fight.
Yeah, I don't know how true this is as well, but they've cut quite a few people. And I think it's the guys who were getting paid really good money, to be honest.
Right.
So I don't know if they're trying to, like, I don't know what's going on. If obviously with the COVID thing, Bellator UFC maybe he's not making as much money as it was, but I know there's been quite a few of the high payers being cut.
Yeah, there's also a few people who've become available who I would have thought that Bellator would have snatched up, kind of like old Bellator would have snatched them up, and they haven't.
Yeah.
And that made me wonder if they're being a little bit more careful with their money or having to be a bit more.
Yeah, I think everyone's a bit unsure on those what's happening.
Yeah. And you're obviously head coach at the Fish Tank, so it was a bit of an emotional roller coaster of a night for you because Cal Pacino was headlining. We finally got to see that fight. It's been so highly anticipated. It's like the Tony and Khabib of the Bellator world.
Yeah.
And it didn't go Cal's way that night.
No, it didn't. Yeah, like obviously, I know people love to hear Gallagher, but he is a really good grappler, isn't he, as well?
Yeah, he is. I just feel sorry for anyone who's trained for one person for such a long time and then doesn't really get to display what he would have liked to have displayed in there.
Yeah. Well, that's on Cal now to go to the gym and get better at that, isn't it, really? So, and that's just part of it, isn't it? But it is a bit of a cruel world, fighting sports, isn't it?
Yeah. He's a legend. I absolutely love Cal. So he'll be back. I know, I can't wait to see it. I'm always going to be a massive fan of his. And talking about it being a cruel sport, I saw a few posts up for Justin Burlington as well. Justin Burlington was someone that I interviewed when he was supposed to fight in Pro Bellum against Conrad. That fight fell out because of Conrad. Then he got a replacement, which wasn't the best replacement, but at least he was still fighting.
Yeah.
Then the whole card got removed. And then I was so delighted when he got put back on this Bellator card, and I thought, this is amazing. And then, was it him or cornerman or something?
One of his cornermen. One of his cornermen tested positive. So I think they're like, because when you get there, they do a test, and then you're just locked in your room till you get a clear result. But I think they knocked them up at 2 a.m. and just bundled them all out of the room and just sent them home straight away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good that they're doing the right thing, but it's just another thing on this like savage, like mentally grueling sport of things that can happen. Like you literally do not know if you're fighting until you're in the cage.
It's horrendous. Yeah, you definitely can't. You kind of bank on it really, especially the way it is now. I was a bit nervous about that, about getting the COVID test, and then once you do the first one, you get another one like the day of your fight as well. Sorry, the day before. And I was like panicking about that as well, really.
Yeah.
It would be awful, that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and so many people who've tested positive have had no symptoms at all at that point. So you can't even think, I'm fit and healthy, so like I'm fine.
Well, the guy, Justin's cornerman who tested positive, he came back home and got a test again as soon as he was home, and it came back negative.
Fuck's sake.
So
you hear those stories. It's happened to a few. It's happened to football players up here. They were positive. We've done it and they were negative.
Yeah, there was another guy who was supposed to make his debut on the Paris card, Brian Hoy, and he tested positive, and everybody that he'd been like sharing a room with and been all around like in the 2 weeks leading up to his fight, none of them tested positive, and then his next one was negative, and it's like you just don't you have to go with what it is.
I just don't know what to believe about the whole thing, you know. I'm like just completely sitting on the fence. I've got no idea what's true and what isn't.
Yeah. So what's next?
I don't know. I'm just trying to get my house done up and have a nice Christmas with my kids, and then I'll be beginning next year, hopefully January, February. because I'm having another child now, so I've got a lot of work to get done to get my house sorted. So I'm trying to use that time.
Congratulations.
So
Thank you. Sorry?
You're not thinking of retiring like Khabib? Khabib had 29 fights, and you're fast approaching that. I think you're just too off him. Are you not thinking about hanging up the gloves one day?
No, to be honest, I've been since I was 30. I've been saying, "Oh, I've only got a couple more left in us," but I've just kept going. And I really do feel like I'm the best I've been now at the minute. I was a bit of a slow starter as well, and I've had a bit of some bad runs and that, but I'm on quite a good run now as well. I bought like my last 6 people I've fought for. Sorry, my dog's pistols. They've all been really, really good to have as well. And, like I've had some couple of good wins. Like I had that couple of years off, 3 years off, because I got a bad concussion. And it messed my eyes up and my vestibular system, and it took us a while to get that fixed.
Wow.
And then so I wasn't sure if I was going to fight again then, to be honest, but obviously I have. I've done all right.
Jesus, so that's just incredible. I didn't realise that was the reason you'd been out for so long.
So I went there. Well, I haven't really publicly spoke about much of, but I went to Australia to fight for ACB. And the guy I was meant to fight, do you know Lewis Palomino, who Justin Gaethje fought?
Yes, yeah.
They're amazing. I was meant to fight him in Australia, but he never got his visa, so he didn't get in the country. So I kind of got like a last-minute replacement, a Brazilian guy who was living in Australia. Anyway, so I was fighting him, and my last sparring session there, I got hit with a punch, and my eyes went a bit funny in sparring, and then I felt I was ill afterwards. So then, like for the rest, I was just ill, and then the commission saying is, and they cancelled me fight. And then so I went home feeling a bit better, and then I tried to train again, and I was hitting pads, and like my eyes couldn't keep up with the pads being moved, and they were probably messed up. Anyway, long story short, I had a massive problem with my eyes and my vestibular system, and it doesn't matter who you speak to, the doctors and that over here, their information is so dated, and they're pretty much telling you to go and sit in a room for 2 years and hope it goes away. But that's not the correct information. But I emailed a lot of doctors in America and did a lot of research, and I kind of fixed it with to be honest, I fixed my eyes with a bit of string and 3 beads. You have to do exercises with that, and I fixed my eyes that way. But it just took us a long time by the time I figured out how to do it.
Oh my God.
But I'm all right now.
That's just insane, and that's well done on the commission for not letting you fight, because God knows what would have happened if you. Well,
I took out because I still want to fight really, but I was ill, to be honest. It was stupid. It's obviously stupid, but I remember like I couldn't move and I was just like really ill. And I remember I took out life insurance just in case I died when I was fighting.
Oh my goodness! Like that's the side of fighting that people don't really think about. People on the outside, I saw a comment on one of the posts that we put up over the weekend about Khabib earning 10 million in the fight last night, and somebody saying 10 million for 10 minutes work, and it's like it's not 10 minutes work. It's his entire life working towards that moment. Every single time he gets in the cage, putting his life and his health at risk. And most fighters only ever earn a fraction of that, like the tiniest fraction of that.
Apart from, I would say, my last couple of fights, I've pretty much fought. I think I've had nearly 30 pro fights now, and I would say your first 20 of them, you're fighting from anything from £300 to like £900. You know what I mean? £1,000. That's it. I've obviously been paid better than my last couple, but I would say like 95% of the pros and that you're getting well under £1,000.
Yeah, but the show actually coming up. I can't remember the name, and they're wanting everybody to fight on it for free because they think they're doing the fighters a favour just to get a fight going during these times. But
it's Shogun, isn't it?
Yeah, is it Shogun? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the message. But like, to be fair, I had one of my guys. He said he would do it just because he wants to fight, But still, like, they're not. Nobody's doing you a favour, It's because they obviously they're making money still. These promoters are not doing you a favour.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I like the idea of fighting and all that, and then you get somebody like Stevie Ray on and says, for 6 months I couldn't feel half my face, and I'm thinking, I don't want any part of that. No. That's what I'm saying. You deserve all the respect and every penny that you can make.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Cruel sport.
Yeah.
So
This is my friend here.
Ben Condon. Hi, Andrew, huge fan. Quick question. Who do you want to fight next? I know you only want to fight the best guys and loved your last fight.
This is so. So he's the, so after, when I fought near CB, I think I got interviewed afterwards. That's who I want to fight next, and I said something like, "Oh, I just want to fight the best guys," and so I said that one thing, and everybody from my gym and all my friends have run with that, and they just keep bringing it up every 2 seconds, and I get the pissed up about it constantly. And I've just had a notification on my phone saying one of my lads has just commented in the NL private group, so I'm assuming that what they've said is Fisher's doing an interview. Everybody get on that now.
Was it ACB Glasgow? Was it when you fought Norman Park?
I thought Norman, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great fight. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a very close fight. When I seen you for the first time very close up, and I thought, this guy's a warrior, man. Because everybody just thought Norman was going to walk through you, but he didn't. It was an absolute brilliant.
He was just a bit heavier than us as well, you know. That's why I did back down the feather, because it's like obviously Norman's amazing. He's the toughest man ever as well. You know, he just doesn't go away. But I felt the kind of like the positions where he won. I felt he used the fact of being heavier than us to his advantage well. Do you know what I mean? And because I thought it was a good fight, it was a close fight. You know, obviously he definitely won. But I've done a lot of things that I got better after that fight as well. You know, I lost it, but I got better and I've done things better as well.
Yeah, I really wish that ACB had better promotion and marketing behind them, because they put on such amazing fights, and I never went to an ACB show that wasn't incredible. And it would just be like banger after banger after banger of a fight, and it's
different in Russia. It's different in Russia. In the East, they don't care about social media and stuff like that. They're just like the people who have good fights. They just get behind them and absolutely love them. And they really don't like all the social media stuff and that. When they were putting the shows over here, they were trying to get things done with the weigh-ins and stuff for the English people, and they didn't want any of it. They just like to see the good fights. But obviously, it doesn't work very well over here because people love the social media stuff, don't they?
Yeah, well, I went to a show in Nottingham, and it was in the arena, and there couldn't have been more than 50 people in the whole place, and loads of them were there on free tickets. They'd been out in the town, trying to give some tickets away, and it was such a shame because the card was blinding, and it was But that was just an aside. So, is there anyone that you'd like to call out?
I would like to call out. Just the best guys.
What about? Would you ever? Is there anybody you lost to you would like a rematch?
No, I'm not really fussed. It's just that's what's done is done. Do you know what I mean? I don't lose sleep over it or anything. You know, I just to be honest, and like I say, I've been saying this since I was 30. I don't know how many fights I've got left. But I would like to do something where I'm going forward. Do you know what I mean? I don't really see the point in fighting like one of these young 21-year-old, 22-year-olds who's coming up. I feel it's just like I say, if maybe I have 4 or 5 fights left, and if I was to fight one of them, you know, it's like I've lost one. I'm wasting one of my fights for them, really, I suppose. So, I to be honest, I would love to fight particularly Pitbull for the Bellator title before. I would love to get a chance to do that, you know. But obviously, you never know. Bellator, I could maybe win another 1 or 2 fights, and they could give us them as well.
Yeah. That's a fight I'd be interested to see for sure. Callum Cook said, "Wow, good to see you got Tony Jeffries on your show, big fan."
Tony Jeffries he was an Olympic boxer, but he was in my class at school, and everybody says I look like him, so that's where that's come from. I hope I don't have to explain every single piss to you.
You may have to.
It won't be the first time. I'll give you a break for a minute, Andrew, because I'm going to speak to Stuart for a minute. Stuart, thank you so much for having the energy after that epic interview earlier to come back on again tonight.
No, I was laughing with Mop about this. Mop was getting a hard time because Mop, apparently, when he starts talking about MMA or jiu-jitsu, he can't stop talking. So, which I was saying, do you know what, Mop? It's exactly like me. I don't mind. Do you know what I mean? I can talk about. I don't want to say this in front of Peter because Peter will have me doing it every day. But no, I can talk about jiu-jitsu, especially jiu-jitsu. I can talk about it every day, 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. So yeah, I just enjoy talking about people. So yeah, it's good.
So for anyone that doesn't know, you're part of the MMA UK team, but you've developed your own show. I love the logo. The BJJ show for MMA UK, and you've been inviting various guests from the jiu-jitsu world onto your show. You've got my professor, Alain Pozzo, coming on very soon. I'm really excited for that one. You've got some great guests lined up, haven't you? Tell people about some of the people coming on.
So, obviously, we had Mop today, Craig McIntosh. So, Craig McIntosh, a brown belt under one of MMA UK's favourite guests, James Doolan. So yeah, Mop was brilliant character. Mop's a great kind of ambassador for Scottish Jiu-Jitsu. So we had him on Wednesday. We've got Giles Garcia. Now, Giles is a character, an absolute character, brilliant person. Giles is obviously known for his jiu-jitsu. I call him the Yoda of Scottish jiu-jitsu, so because he knows everything, and he's also well known for his refereeing. So he's very, very high energy. He jumps about. He's absolutely crazy when he's refereeing. So I've got him on Wednesday. He's just got his black belt. I think about a week or 2 weeks ago. So it'll be interesting to hear from him. I've got Alain. Alain's going to be on next Sunday. So Alain's one of the guys I wanted to get on. See, I did a podcast previously called Stoomcast. So Alain was one of the guys I wanted to speak to previously, but just never got the chance. So obviously when you mentioned it, I thought, do you know what? I'll go and speak to Alain. And I spoke to him back and forward on Messenger. And Alain's fantastic, a fantastic guy. Again, a great ambassador for jiu-jitsu in the UK. Obviously, the ZR team as well. Obviously, ZR team's doing some fantastic things. So I'm going to get to hear more about that. I was worried about the accent because obviously I'm very, very Scottish. So, but I
understand me, you're fine.
Yeah, so I listened to. He did a podcast with Daniel Strauss a couple of years ago. So I listened to that and thought, do you know what? He'll be fine. He'll understand me. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then, yeah, I mean, we've got some other guests lined up. James Doolan. We're just waiting on getting James Doolan. Yeah, James is coming on. James will come on. James mentioned a few other people, like Gary Christie.
Remember when you joined the team, you said, I fancy you. I'll do this once a month, maybe once, twice a month. You can be doing it every day with the amount of guests you've got lined up.
I've actually got some more suggestions for you, Stuart, actually.
Listen, anybody at all. I mean, I don't mind, as I say this. We did talk about doing it once a fortnight. So obviously me and Peter had a chat and said, look, how often do you want to do it? And I said, well, once a fortnight is fine. And then just as the guests came through, now the thing, Katie, you'll probably know this as well, is sometimes when you get guests, they can't always work around your schedule.
Yeah.
So like, so you might say, well, I'll do this once a fortnight on a Monday, and then suddenly you speak to a guest and you're like, well, Monday at 9 o'clock, and then they turn around and say, no, I can only do Wednesday, or I can only do Sunday or whenever. So yeah, I mean, you've just got to get the guests as and when they're available. So otherwise, you know yourself, you're not going to get many people on. So so we've got quite a few. There's a lot of people lined up. A lot of Scottish guys, a lot of English guys.
I also used to train with Luke Lamood. I don't know if you know him, but he's a second degree black belt, and he got that from Nick Brooks. And they'd be great to get on together, I think. Nick Brooks got his from Hodger Gracie. And yeah, he's massive in Essex. So I always try and get my little part of England like some coverage as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll talk to anybody. I mean, what I always say is I want to talk to people that have got a good story. So So I mean, I'll talk to a white belt. If a white belt's come into jiu-jitsu and they've got a great story, then I mean, I'll talk to them right up to black belts and so on. So
what's your story, Stuart?
Me,
how did you get into jiu-jitsu and that?
I mean, I started jiu-jitsu. I was quite late, so I'm 43-year-old. So I got into jiu-jitsu when I was 36. So my kind of main kind of goal in regards to when I started was just to get a bit fitter and nothing else. That was my plan, just to get fit. So when I started, I was 127 kilos, so I wanted to get that down. Now I'm only small. I'm 5'4", so for me, jiu-jitsu came easily, or not easy, but it came a little bit easier when it come to things like takedowns and stuff like that. So I spent the first 2 years of jiu-jitsu just learning not to get taken down, which worked perfectly. So quickly the weight came down. Then I got into competitions and I had a fantastic start to competitions. And then over the last maybe couple of years, really just doing things like this, doing podcasts and chatting to people. So, I mean, certainly in Scotland, everybody knows me. So when you say Stoomboy, they're like, yeah, Stoomboy. So everybody knows me.
Where did the nickname come from?
So, I don't, well, no, I'll tell you. I mean, Stoomboy was... where I was brought up in Dundee, so in the area I was brought up in, it was a bit of a rough area. So we were just young guys. We were messing about, and then we broke into a garage, and I got picked up by the police. And I remember getting taken to the police station. My mum was there, and the police were like, "Who was with you?" And I was like, "No, it was just me." And they were like, "Who was with you?" And they kept asking me, and I was like, "No, it was just me." So I got charged for it. And when I came back, I remember my friends all coming to the house and saying, "Oh, what happened? What did you say?" And I said nothing. So they were like, "Oh, you kept Stoom." So Stoom boy. So that just stuck with me from I was about 13-year-old. So yeah. I did
you're not a grass.
That's what I'm saying. It could be worse. Your name could have been Grass Bitch. So.
Yeah, it could have been that. It could have been that. But yeah, Stoom boy. So it stuck with me my whole life. So yeah, I mean, Stoom boy. Everybody, when they mentioned Stoom boy, I'd say most people in Scotland, or everybody in Scotland, knows who I am. So I'm quite big when it comes to like support for jiu-jitsu in Scotland. So I love the country I come from, just like everybody. We love the country where we come from, and obviously through jiu-jitsu I get to express that through doing things like this, or when it comes to competitions, being 100% behind everybody in Scotland that goes out competing. So I want everybody to win a medal, regardless if it's Scotland, England, Wales or Ireland. But yeah, when it's Scotland, as I said, I'm obviously a little bit more patriotic. I want every Scottish person to win everything when they go out and compete. So,
of course. So, who are your BJJ heroes then?
So for me, when I started, I was actually friends. Or Giles Garcia started following me on Twitter.
Oh my God!
And he started following me because there was who was fighting. I think it was Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman was fighting Anderson Silva for the first time.
Yeah.
So what happened was Giles Garcia was kind of going back and forward, putting tweets up and stuff like that. And someone came on and said, there's no way that Matt Serra shouldn't have beat GSP and blah, blah, blah. It was a complete shock. So I came on and said, well, who was it a shock to? Because Matt Serra said he was going to go out and knock out George St. Pierre, and he went out and he did just that. So who was it a shock to? It wasn't a shock to Matt Serra. So Giles Garcia thought this was great and started following me. And this was before I got into jiu-jitsu. Now, I'd always been a massive fan of Giles. I thought his character was brilliant. His fighting was brilliant. Jiu-jitsu was fantastic. So I remember when I first started, he was like the main guy. I was like, well, when I started, I was sending him messages and saying, Henzo, I've just started jiu-jitsu, and he would always send back messages saying, look, well done, and you'll enjoy it, and things like that. And then my first competition, I sent him the video, and I private messaged him the video, and he watched the video, and he says, oh, it was fantastic. And he was giving me feedbacks, and he said, you were doing this really well and that really well. So So for me, it was Renzo Gracie. And then as I kind of started developing through my journey, it then became Rodolfo Vieira. And I was fortunate. I went to a seminar with Rodolfo last year in Scotland. He came to Scotland, and I got to roll with him. And he guillotined me in like a minute, but it was the best guillotine I'd ever had in my life. So I didn't mind it. And I remember coming off saying, I just got guillotined by Rodolfo Vieira. And yeah, so they're my two, Renzo Gracie and Rodolfo Vieira.
That's what I think's mad about our sports, MMA and jiu-jitsu, is that it's so accessible. And like, even the people who are your biggest heroes, you can meet them and have a conversation with them, and they're the right level of famous, if you know what I mean. So I'm friends with Brad Pickett, and he always says it's a really good feeling that when he walks into Cage Warriors, that like into a show, there'll be a ton of people there who want a photo with him, and it gives him a nice feeling. But he can go to Asda and nobody has a clue who he is. So it's not like he's Madonna or something. And for us, like reaching out to interview people, like you speak to some of your biggest heroes, and you're having your little fangirl or fanboy moment, and like it's amazing. I just find it, kids would never get to speak to whoever the striker is for Man United, or get someone who's like the Chelsea goalkeeper to say they'll go on a podcast with them. But we've got this amazing access.
We do. I mean, I love it. I mean, as I said, I've been fortunate. I've got to train with people like Draculino. I got to train with Robert Drysdale. I've been training with, as I said, Rodolfo Vieira, Damien Maya. And these were all fantastic people. Fionn Davies, Hodja Gracie. I mean, Hodja Gracie, I'd fought one of Hodja's students at the British, and we got to the final, and it was Drew Sullivan. Drew Sullivan's about 6'10", and I'm 5'4". So it was a crazy fight. We ended up 2-2. He won by an advantage, and Hodja Gracie was there, and Hodja was obviously in Drew's corner. And then about a year later, we kind of met each other at the Euros, and I was standing in the bullpen waiting to go on, and my coach Marcus Nardini was there, and Hodja Gracie came over and said, "Hey Stuart, how you doing?" And my coach was like, "Stuart, do you know everybody?" And I was like, "Well," but he was just shocked that Hodja Gracie's coming over and saying hello to me and wishing me well and hoping I do well in the competition and things like that. But and again, it's just because for me, I mean, when I go anywhere, jiu-jitsu competitions, or if I'm at seminars, I talk to people. I talk to everybody. Do you know what I mean? You become friends with people on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And I mean, I could go and train pretty much the majority of places in the world because I know someone wherever I'm going. So, which, I mean, it's, as I said, and it's fantastic. You get to train. I mean, you can't train with Ronaldo. We can't go and train with Messi. But I mean, I could go and train with a Rodolfo Vieira or whoever. Just by turning up to their class or their gym and being able to do that.
And they're so welcoming as well. Like wherever I go on a business trip, I tell Alan what state in America I'm going to or whatever, and he knows someone there, and he says, go to this one, tell them I sent you. Or when I was in Dublin, and like training with Ash Daly was a highlight for me. Just like, oh my God, keep it together, coppers.
Well, it's great. I mean, as I said, I love that. I mean, as I said, I've been fortunate in my short time. As I said, I've only been doing it 7 years, but I've been fortunate in such a short time to train with some of the top guys. Maybe not all of the top guys. I would love to train with every single person, but for me, the who's who list is the people that I wanted to train with. So, I mean, 7 years and I've been training with the best people. So, I mean, so let's hope I get to train with more top people in the next 7 years, and so on and so on. So, but that's the best thing about it. So it's very, very open for everybody. So.
Yeah, I love that side of it too, and I'm really looking forward to all the guests you've got coming up, and just this new side of MMA UK that we've got. I know Peter's been really keen to get like a jiu-jitsu expert on the team for a long time.
Not expert. I wouldn't go that far, Katie. So,
well,
I know a little bit, but yeah.
I actually did say to Stuart, I was looking at his podcast before he actually tried to join the team, so it was something we were looking at bringing him on board anyway, but he happened to put the application in anyway, so it was pretty easy to get set up. And as you can tell, he's only been here a couple of weeks and he's already got his own show and he's had 3 episodes already, so it's been absolutely brilliant.
Perfect.
I did watch, I mean, I've been following obviously MMA for a while, and I always watch your show, Katie. Okay, so because obviously for me, and that's what. When I seen you, and I was like, do you know what? I want to be like that, because obviously some of the people that you have on, and some of the people that you interview, and just the rapport and stuff like that you build up with people is fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, if I could get minds as successful as yours, then yes, I'll be a happy man. So.
Bless you, Stuart. You can stay.
Andy, what's your jiu-jitsu level like? Do you do competitions and stuff as well?
I have done. I've done. I don't really do BJJ, but I do know gi. I've done a few competitions over the years. I've won a couple, and I've not done so good at some. But I grappled with some good grapplers. Do you know Ellis Younger?
Yeah.
Ellis Younger, we go to his gym sometimes. Ellis is absolutely phenomenal. He's the best person I've ever trained with, I think, grappling. So we go there, and I've got a couple of good guys at my gym who just grapple, and they're good, really. But I just, to be honest, I spend a lot more time just doing MMA.
Yeah. Should we talk a little bit about the fights from last night, seeing as it was such a huge night of fights? It's the first time I've paid for a UFC pay-per-view.
Yeah, we all caved in.
And then I was really annoyed because the stream worked all the way through anyway. But as Danny said, actually, like, we've paid for all the local show pay-per-views this year. It was just the UFC one that we were begrudging because we know it doesn't really go on to the fighters, but there we go. It obviously was worth the money. May as well start with the biggest fight of the year, Khabib Gaethje. Do you think it lived up to the hype, Andrew?
I thought, because I was saying to people, I'm always wrong with predictions anyway, but I thought that like Gaethje had been a bit, when they sell the fights and they make you think it's a 50-50 fight, but I didn't think it was 50-50. I thought Khabib was going to run through. I didn't think he was going to do that to him. I didn't think it was going to be so easy. But I did think he would just kept trying to take him down. Gaethje would have defended a few. He would have kept trying, and eventually would have ground him down. But I didn't think it would be so easy for him, if I'm honest. But I did think a lot of people fell for the hype. But I think, when it was on the floor as well, it didn't look like Gaethje does any grappling at all. That looked like, if I'm rolling with some of the young lads who are not very good, and if you're messing about, like, that's what it looked like. The difference there, like, it didn't look like you should be able to do that. The professional fighter does it. Either Khabib's that good, or Gaethje doesn't do anything on the floor.
That's the only thing that I can think of, because there's so many people that don't look like themselves when they fight Khabib, and I don't know if it's him or maybe I'm taking something away from him by saying that, because we definitely didn't see this wrestling of Gaethje's that we've been told is there. And okay, he's not an offensive wrestler, he's a defensive wrestler, so we didn't see any of that. He took him down with ease.
He might have just crumbled under the pressure. Do you know, when he's just pressuring forwards, maybe he's just crumbled under the pressure. I definitely think Gaethje's better than that, but maybe Khabib is just that strong as well. And you don't, like, maybe he was a bit panicky, and he just kept running forward. And also, Gaethje never ever goes backwards, really. I know with Ferguson, he definitely was a bit smarter, but you never see Gaethje backpedaling. So I don't think that was a very good game plan for him.
He was actually running away from him at a couple of points.
He wasn't cutting any angles or anything. He was just
circling constantly.
Yeah.
I think obviously, like he's got going by going forward and attacking, and then I think how many years he's done that for. Then for one fight, how long he's trained for to circle off. It's like it was a stupid tactic, I think.
Yeah. And Stuart, a lot was made before the fight about his dad obviously passing away, who he's had beside him for his whole, not just his career, but like his entire life.
Yeah.
And people were saying, is it going to make him more focused, or is it going to be a distraction? And I think we got the answer, didn't we?
We did. I mean, I was one of the people. I mean, I think me and you had a conversation about this, about his emotional state. Do you know what I mean? Because I just thought in the build-up, going all the way through the belt, he didn't seem himself at all.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. It's definitely understandable. So I just wondered where he was emotionally going to be. And then obviously at the end of the fight, we seen it. I mean, Peter messaged me and said, "Well, that's it coming out now." But yeah, I mean, a lot of people train to not get taken down by him, but I don't know how much they train to get back up. Because obviously it's one thing to train.
He spent a lot of time training that. Supposedly, it was like part of one of the embedded episodes.
It was. I remember seeing that, the wrestling. They brought the wrestler in, and he was training to get up and up and up. But a lot of people train not to get taken down by him. I mean, the level that Khabib's Sambo's at is unbelievable. I mean, he's an international master in Sambo now. To be a black belt in a martial arts, one thing, but to be an international master, I mean, that's got to be something else. World Sambo champion twice. So yeah, I mean, his Sambo's on a completely different level. So, and he comes in and he tells him, this is what I'm going to do. This is everybody knows what he's going to do, but not in 29 fights, nobody stopped it. So, yeah, I mean,
What did you think of the finish?
The finish was good jiu-jitsu. So for a white belt, because obviously remember he's a white belt in jiu-jitsu. So
they might promote him now.
Well, hopefully get a stripe. Hopefully definitely gets a stripe on that white belt. So, but, I mean, the finish was great. I mean, see in that situation. I mean, and especially the transition from when he took the single leg, he came around and took the back and came over, and then it looked like, I don't know if he was going to go for ground and pound or he was going to go for an arm, and then the next minute he went for a triangle. And then Daniel Cormier was saying he's seen him doing it in the training, but he's never ever seen him attempt that in an MMA fight. So to pull that off with someone he's never done before, I mean, it takes balls.
I wonder if he knew he was going to be so much better than him on the floor. I wonder if he already knew that. It was like the skill level was like the difference was ridiculous as soon as he hit the floor, wasn't it? Same. Do you know when he double legged him in the first round, and he kind of laced his legs? Like, obviously for Gaethje being such a good wrestler, you know, that was a good wrestling scramble position, and it looked like there was no like attempt to keep getting back up, you know. And obviously like I know obviously Gaethje must know how to work from them positions, you know, when like he's got a double leg wrap but they're sitting on the floor. That's the position where he still wrestled through, and he just didn't. So that's why I'm wondering if he just like.
He looked gassed as well. He looked gassed halfway through the first round. So I don't know if it was an adrenaline dump. When he was working out backstage, like he was profusely sweating, and I was thinking, you got 5 rounds. Like, I know you need to warm up, but like, how much working out have you been doing back there? But he just looked gassed, and I don't know. He just didn't look.
Maybe Khabib just does that. Yeah, you know, his reaction, isn't he?
Yeah,
I think when Khabib got him down at the very end of the first round, he didn't have much to work. But I think that's when you realise, well, Gaethje doesn't know what he's doing. So when it came to the second round,
it gave him the confidence to try.
I'm going for an armbar. I'm going for whatever.
Even if Gaethje doesn't grapple very much, like that position when he was on that double leg on the floor, so do you know he still had his leg wrapped? That's not grappling, that's a wrestling position, and like Gaethje should know what to do or have some effort from there. But like he didn't. That's why I was like thinking maybe it's just the pressure. Maybe it just broke him a bit because he must know what to do from there or have some ideas.
Yeah,
but to Gaethje's credit, he did land some good leg kicks in the first round. I think that was pretty I thought that might slow Khabib down if he keeps landing them. I think he corners
every time he's landing a big shot as well. I was like a bit like, oh, he's gonna chin him.
Yeah, you just don't know, don't you? You just don't know how Khabib can take it. He took everything he gave him.
Yeah, he did. He was like the Terminator, but like Gaethje will be back, and I think that Gaethje could be holding the belt in a year's time, perhaps. Like,
credit Justin though, after the fight, he went up and gave Khabib a cuddle when he was crouched down the ring.
I love the respect between them the whole way through.
And Khabib even said that, didn't he? He goes, look, stay close to your mum and dad because you don't know what future hold. That was absolutely brilliant.
I thought it was a really nice sign of respect, and I think most of us expected him to try for 30-0 before he left his gloves in the octagon. I don't think we were entirely like stunned either. Andrew, were you surprised?
Remember, I didn't think he would be finished. Like I thought it was. I thought he definitely would have had another one.
Yeah,
but obviously not. And like, it sounds like he doesn't seem the type to retire every 6 months, does he? He's like, I think he's probably good now.
Man of his word. That's exactly what I thought. Like, I'm really dubious about any MMA retirements, but this is one that I really, really do believe in.
Did you see Dana afterwards? Because Dana said you had a surprise for him, and then when they asked him, "Are you going to still give him the surprise because he's retired?" He goes, "No." So I don't know. I don't know if I was like, "I've got GSP for you."
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, GSP was really like respectful on the comment, and like when he was interviewed afterwards as well. I thought the whole thing shone MMA in a really good light. Hi, Andrew. Can you take your fringe down? You look so bald.
It's coming out.
You don't, by the way. You don't. Of course, the question that everybody's been battling with on Facebook and Twitter ever since is he the GOAT after that? And I just wanted to get your opinion. Is he the GOAT, Andrew?
Yeah, I think he's. I think the lightweight division is a lot better division than like the light heavyweight division. You know, because everybody's saying that John Jones. Obviously, I think GSP is absolutely phenomenal. He's probably one of like my favorite of all time as well. But I do think the lightweight division's always been the best division. I think John Jones is like, I don't know, like both big names, but I don't think the skill level is as good as the lightweight.
Yeah. He's also got that PD question mark over him. So for me, he's never in the conversation to be the GOAT. But I love GSP. I find it so hard to look past him. I feel like I'm finding it really, really hard to pick between Khabib and GSP.
Katie, if they fought right now, who would win then? That's the way.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the way to look at it because GSP's 40.
Still like.
You can still came back from Bisping not that long ago.
Yeah, but I really appreciate people who take risks and going up to 185 pounds when that's definitely not your natural weight class and when you haven't fought for 4 years. Like for me, that's what makes someone great. I love people who dare to be great, and Khabib is magnificent at what he's done, but in my mind he's not as much of a risk taker. But Stuart, who's the GOAT for you?
I've kind of thought about this obviously ever since yesterday, and for me it's got to be Khabib. I mean, the reason for it, I mean, I know Jones was on, and I don't know, he's been going back and forward saying that he doesn't mind Dana giving it to him and saying you can be the GOAT, but he's only holding my spot. And you're like, well, that's pure arrogance. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I mean, the reason I kind of thought Khabib, I mean, obviously there's a few reasons. I mean, when everybody gets into martial arts, whether it be jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or whatever you get into, the one thing you're taught about is loyalty, honor, and respect. Okay, so well, I mean, when you look at John Jones, could you say that he's got all three of them?
No.
So I don't think he has. Khabib, I mean, Khabib's one guy. I mean, he's very loyal. I mean, you obviously see that with his team, obviously his dad and things like that. So that's been taught to him from his dad. Respect, he's got the respect. Obviously, he had a bit of a thing with Conor McGregor, but Conor McGregor's brilliant at bringing out the worst in you or making you do things that you wouldn't normally do. And then obviously the honour as well, Khabib having that honour. I mean, it would take a lot for anybody to just retire when they're on the top of their game and just walk away. But again, that's that honour he's got with obviously his family and stuff like that. So, and then 29-0. I mean, who's the only? What is it? Israel Adesanya is what 20-0. So. So he's probably the one person that maybe
he's a world champion in other sports as well. So
yeah,
you bring that into it.
Yeah. So I mean, Khabib's done it. I mean, it's so for me, it's definitely Khabib. GSP, yeah. I mean, GSP was a different era. GSP at that time was the GOAT. So it's a difficult one to say who's the best of all time, because GSP, without a doubt, is the best. Do you know what I mean? From his day, but modern day martial arts, yes, a different generation. So for me, it's definitely Khabib. So,
Peter, you're team Khabib, aren't you?
Yeah, in the end of the day, it's just a personal opinion. There's nothing. It doesn't matter who says what. I know Dana and Sean Shelby came out and tweeted, "Oh, it's Khabib," and all that. To me personally, it's Khabib. But when you're talking about that, you got Khabib, you got GSP, you got John Jones, you got Israel possibly in the very near future comes into that conversation. The difference with them three right now is John Jones is still fighting, so he can still achieve a lot more yet. He could get the heavyweight championship. He could go back down and fight Israel at some point in the next couple of years and beat him. So it's still there for John Jones to take. Obviously, what happened in the emotion, the story and all that with his father and all that. Let's have Khabib have his moment and all that. But that could change in the future because John Jones could take that title in the next couple of years.
I just thought it spoke volumes about both him and Conor being dickheads, making it about themselves, like having their 2 pence worth, like just shut the fuck up. Like,
I mean, John
let
Jones.
the man
I mean,
have his moment.
Yeah, I mean,
just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, John Jones. I mean, I was looking at after the fights. I was looking at kind of the records and stuff like that, just to kind of think, well, do you know what I mean? How would they look at it? So John Jones. I mean, when he fought, was it Glover Teixeira? He'd only fought a fight every single year for 5 years, one fight a year. And that was when he started going downhill with obviously his legal problems and obviously getting caught with drugs and stuff like that. So, so for me, would you put him in there? I mean, how many times did he cheat to win a fight? Obviously, he had the no contest with Daniel Cormier and stuff like that. So, how many times did that happen before he actually got caught?
It was a dick pills.
It was dick pills, yeah. But I mean, if that was anybody else, I mean, you look at Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz got caught smoking dope and then got banned. What about John Jones? Why did John Jones not get banned? So,
no, it's insane.
Anybody else
would have got a shorter sentence than that. It's disgusting.
Yeah, so why is it different for John Jones and it's not different for these people? So so yeah, I mean, he probably will, as Peter said, he may eventually come back and be the best, the GOAT. But I mean, he's going to need to change his whole lifestyle for that to happen, for my opinion, anyway. So
I agree.
I think you want somebody to hate, though, don't you? You want somebody like John Jones.
Yeah, but
you want to see him get beat, don't you? But we're not going to see that for a long time.
No. He still got beat by Matt Hamill, mate. Do you know what I mean? So that's still a defeat, mate. Do you know what I mean? Matt Hamill threw his head into John Jones's elbow, and John Jones got disqualified for it. So, so bring back Matt Hamill. We need that Matt Hamill rematch.
But you got to give John Jones credit. He's gone in the deep end now. He's going into heavyweight. Anything can happen.
Let's see. I'd rather he just kept his mouth shut until he actually had a fight. All the years he's wasted and all the natural talent that he's got, I find it disgusting. The people who just throw away. There's people desperate to get back in there and fight, and there's people like him and Conor that just want to abuse the talent that they've got. But another little rant.
Katie, what's that? You're not a Conor McGregor fan, are you?
Actually, I mean, I've really enjoyed his fights. Like the Eddie Alvarez fight, that's one of the most excited I think I've ever got for like a fight that didn't involve a friend of mine. Like I off my seat screaming. I just loved every second of it. The Nate Diaz fights, I was on his side. I just think I just think fight. I don't want to see you boxing. I don't want to see.
Who do you think's gonna out of the remaining lightweights? With Chandler, McGregor,
Yeah, good question.
Ferguson, Poirier, and who am I missing? Gaethje.
You think Conor and Dustin will fight at that weight now? Because they've no said what weight they're fighting at. But you think it'd be at that one now, wouldn't you? To try and get that.
Well, they'll probably fight at 77 still, but it's still essentially going to be it's a lightweight fight, really, isn't it? They're just not going to cut any weight.
Cut weight, yeah.
So I think it's quite interesting. Now, I think out of them 5, I probably think McGregor matches up well against all of them.
Probably
I think he matches up.
Yeah.
I think he matches up well against Gaethje. I think he matches up well against Chandler. Poirier as well.
And Tony, maybe. Tony would be the big one.
Tony's the dark horse, isn't he? Because he's so tough.
Yeah. If he's still the same fighter as well, we've seen how Justin broke him. So.
Yeah.
And also
he might be
yeah,
Sorry?
that's true. Tony's gas tank as well against Conor's gas tank. You got to fancy if it goes into the later rounds, he's going to be more comfortable. I don't know, like with Gaethje, I definitely think after seeing how he performed last night, if that's what a big fight does to him, I wouldn't want to see him in a fight with Conor. A
lot of people say, well, Conor got slagged for his performance against Khabib, but then if you compare it to Justin, then you've done a lot better.
Yeah.
I thought Conor done really good, mate. Actually, I thought he done a really good wrestling defense as well, and like I thought he did good. I thought he kept himself
for that fight, Andrew. So I have been a fan along the way.
That was the one round. Was that not the one round that Khabib lost? Was it not the third round against Conor?
Well, I asked somebody that because somebody said I heard he lost one round, and then I couldn't remember. And I said, "Oh, was it the McGregor one? Was it the one he took? Because he took a round off, didn't he? After he ran the counter, but I wasn't sure. I thought, oh, maybe it's that one, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, so Conor won a round that Khabib said he took off. But then 2 of the judges gave round 1 to Justin last night, which is interesting. I didn't give that to Justin.
I'm not a judge, but like obviously he did score quite a few low kicks, didn't he? So I didn't give it to Justin. I give it to Khabib, but like maybe it was them low kicks. There was the only significant shots maybe he's landed. I'm not sure.
Low kicks. There was one significant strike to the head. I think. I thought, fuck, he did that one.
But there was a comment from Chris Gadden saying Silva's not getting mentioned. Why? And for me, again, it's the PED conversation. He obviously is an incredible fighter.
I think he's just. I think obviously you kind of tarnish your career when you keep going on. I think that always.
Triple C as well, though. He's retired.
Triple
as well.
C, amazing. Absolutely love him.
Exactly. The little men don't get the credit they deserve.
Yeah, definitely not. Absolutely amazing, though.
Yeah, he's very cool. And
one person not be mentioned is a woman, Amanda Nunes, as well. So
she's an absolute legend. Again, I think it goes back to like when because a lot of people argue between her and Valentina for like who's the female GOAT, and like the one thing I'll say about Nunes is she's wiped out everybody in not that 145 is a division, but she's beaten every single champion there's ever been in bantamweight and featherweight.
She dominated them. She dominated Ronda, who dominated the sport before her, and Cyborg as well. Absolutely crazy. I would have loved a rematch with Cyborg, and I'd like to see a rematch with Shevchenko as well, because that's a bit unfinished as well.
Another rematch.
I know I'll probably get grief for this, but I just think the women's divisions, there's not the same depth as the men's yet. Obviously, they haven't been around as long, and I just think you'll get a couple of like 1 or 2 really, really good ones in the division, and the rest are just not. Just because there's not as many people do it, you know.
Well, you see that in the 125-pound division, 100%. Like there's Valentina, and then there's everybody fighting and getting split decisions off each other to be the number 1 contender, and then they just get absolutely wiped out when they face the champ.
Jojo Calderwood was one, wouldn't you lose a fight, but 1-1 can get you back into title contention because there's nobody else to challenge the champion, and people want to see new fights and don't want to keep seeing rematches.
Yeah. Hi, Andrew. Have you been working on your biceps? Lee Freeman wants to know. He's sorting out his hair, Lee. Leave him alone. Somebody else who had an amazing performance last night was Whittaker. I thought he was going to get it done, and I thought it would go to a decision. But my God, that was an amazing fight. I thought he was brilliant. But Cannonier, how the hell he got up in that third round was just insane. Did you enjoy that fight, Andrew?
I thought it was amazing. That was the best one of the night.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. I thought it was really competitive as well. And I thought even that Cannonier, he could have easily took his, like when he knew he was losing, he could have, like, you see people just holding on then, don't you? But he was still going for it. Like, I thought it was absolutely amazing. And the last like minute or so, it was Whittaker trying to just like slow it down, wasn't he? And trying to just grind him out a bit. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I thought that Cannonier was phenomenal.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Stuart, what did you think?
Yeah, it was the same, man. I thought that was definitely for me one of the fights of the night. I mean, that was awesome watching it. Andrew's right. I mean, at the end of the fight, Whittaker last minute, he was just trying to kind of slow everything down by kind of holding on and stuff like that. Because I mean, both of them put everything into that fight. I was surprised. I thought Cannonier was going to come out and absolutely smoke him very quickly, but. Yeah, he didn't at all. I'd watched all the kind of build-ups. I was kind of laughing about the strobe light glasses and stuff like that. I mean, he was in training. He was using glasses that flicker strobe lights in his eyes to make his brain work quicker, just for reactions and stuff like that. And then he goes in and lays out crystals and stuff like that. But I don't know. For me, it wouldn't work. I don't know about you, Andrew. I mean, obviously, coming from an MMA, is that something that you would bring into your training?
No, my girlfriend gives us some crystals. I don't know what they are. What's the crystals? Oh, different crystals for protection.
Is that what that's about?
But she gives us crystals and stuff I have to carry with us.
Yeah, no, well, he was the same. I mean, when he went in to training at first, he would lay out. He had the team kind of logo, the kind of team patch, and he would lay out crystals in different ways to give different types of energy and stuff like that when he was going into training. And then these glasses that he put these glasses on that, I'd say, they flicker these strobe lights in the eyes. So when he's doing like a 5-minute round, all he sees is in his eyes these strobe lights getting flashed in his eyes, which for me, I mean, I was talking to James Doolan, and James Doolan said, yeah, I mean, he's heard a few people doing that, but yeah, I said just purely for brain reflexes, but as it didn't help him last night. I mean, Whittaker came out. Whittaker's on a mission to get his belt back, so I mean, if he goes in and does the kind of same thing, same kind of pressure and stuff like that to Adesanya, then yeah, it could be a different fight altogether. So
he's so relaxed and just seems like he's enjoying it so much more at the moment. And he just looks so stressed and stiff in the build-up and in that Adesanya fight. And even when it was doing well at the beginning of the fight. No.
Yeah, he didn't like being in that fight, did he?
He used to train 7 days a week and didn't take a day off. And then he said that until he burned out and all that. That was his first 3-round fight for 3 years. He's always been in title fights and all that. I expected Whittaker to do that, and I thought Jared had a puncher's chance, but the way that third round unfolded, I was very impressed.
Amazing.
The way he came back and he smelt blood and he thought he'd go for it. But we've seen people like GSP get caught like that and still get that win through, and that's what Whittaker is at that level. He's a threat to get that belt, Matt. If Bisdol doesn't take him serious in the rematch.
100%. And I do think, normally I think rematches don't usually go much different from the first one, but if he can take the way that he's feeling and that kind of happiness and like the kind of joy he's got back from training forward, and he also said he's taking time off for his baby that's being born, like at the beginning of the year, and he hasn't done that with his other kids. And I thought that kind of thing is the stuff that does start to grind you down after a while, like all the things you missed, all the sacrifice. Obviously, a lot of fighting is about sacrifices, but if he's obviously thought in his head, if I'm going to be successful, I need to learn to enjoy this, and I need to give myself a break sometimes. So I wish him all the best. I'd love to see the rematch with Adesanya.
Dana says it makes sense, but I know Isdall was talking about jumping up and going for the other belt and get John Jones's old belt, which might lead to them leading into a future fight. So we'll see how that pans out. But I hope he gets the rematch.
Mental, because he weighs in at 185 with like his jeans on and his headphones on and stuff like that. But again, that goes back to my whole thing about people daring to be great and taking risks. And if it fails, do you know what? You're still a legend for putting yourself out there like that, in my eyes.
Yeah, to get to that level, you have to lose anyway, don't you? You have to put yourself out there rather than the keyboard warriors and all that, slagging people get knocked out and all that shit. You know what I mean? You need to put yourself out there and dare to win. You know what I mean? Respect to anybody who goes into that fucking cage.
Yeah,
definitely.
No, I agree with you. Got another comment here for Andrew.
Yeah.
Another wind up there. Oh, sorry. Hi, Andrew. Huge fan. Please do the foreign fans a favour and speak slowly. Struggling to understand your weird English. So another one that I wanted to touch on, as I said, close with the GB top team guys. I was very pleased that even though Nathaniel didn't walk away with the win last night, he did walk away with fight of the night bonus.
Oh, did he get fight night? Oh, good.
He did, yeah.
I watched that one. That's the only prelim one I watched.
What did you think? Another epic fight.
It was a very close fight, wasn't it? I did score. What was the guy called? What was his name?
Kenny.
Kiss Kenny. I scored him. Kiss Kenny the first round and the third round, and I gave Wood the second round. But I thought it was an amazing fight. It was so close.
Yeah.
There was so many punches through it, wasn't there?
Like my main gripe with it was the 30-27 scorecard. I couldn't understand how somebody gave all 3 rounds to Casey Kenny.
No, I thought 2-1 to Kenny. I did.
It was 2-1 either way. I wouldn't have Wood gave it.
I could see 2-1 either way.
That's the kind of fight you want an extra 2 rounds. You know, just I mean, somebody to win
that
fight.
It was amazing, wasn't it? Absolutely amazing.
Even after that fight, I still don't know who won it clearly. But if it had a couple more rounds.
That's why I'm glad if he walks away on a fight that close with no win bonus. I'm glad that he got a fight of the night bonus. But did you enjoy it, Stuart?
You know, that was the one fight I didn't see. The reason I didn't see it.
You've got to go back and watch it.
Oh no, the reason I didn't see it is the submission series was on at that time, which is a submission only tournament. Ellis Younger was in it. One Scottish guy, Kevin McAloon, was in it. Dominic Dillon, a few other guys as well. So Jed Hugh and Stone. So Kevin McAloon was fighting at that time. So I kind of went and watched that. Just to obviously see, because he was fighting Dominic Dillon, obviously top black belt, top world champion grappler. So yeah, I kind of watched that, but I caught up with obviously all the kind of posts and stuff like that, because obviously Twitter and Facebook went crazy after that fight about the judge that gave 30-27.
Started it.
It was Katie, probably Katie that started it, yeah. But I mean, I kind of caught up on that, and obviously people were talking about, do you know what I mean, the judges and stuff. I mean, I suppose it happens in MMA. I mean, every competition, or every UFC, or whether it be a Bellator or Cage Warriors or whatever, they're always talking about judges. So, and I think we spoke about this. I think you were talking, I can't remember who you were talking to, Katie, but it came up, and I remember saying, should it not be like all of the judges be like an ex-fighter? So that, because obviously
you wouldn't want to do it, would you?
You might know some of the fighters.
Yeah, you wouldn't fancy judging.
I don't know how much you get paid for it, but like you probably couldn't be bothered to go and sit and judge. It's a very thankless task, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, the problem isn't the criteria. If you look at read the criteria, it's quite good. We just need people to follow the criteria. That's all it is.
You know what really pisses me off as well is DC every week getting the criteria wrong, and I think you're educating all these people or miseducating all these people who are then ranting on Twitter about the wrong thing, and it drives me nuts. And Bisping even does it as well. Oh, he's got a takedown in the last 10 seconds. That's probably secured him the round. He didn't do anything with it.
You need to do some damage, keep them down and control it before it counts as a point.
See, I remember hearing
Sorry,
Frank Trigg was talking, and he was talking about he's now a referee, judge, and so on. And he said normally it takes for you to become a fully certified judge at an MMA event, you need to go through a 2-year process. So it takes 2 years apparently
wow.
to get this done. Frank Trigg did it in a year, but he did it every single day for a year, just so he can get it done quicker. But I don't know how true that is, whether it's 2 years or not.
That doesn't sound. It doesn't sound true. Don't think that's good. I don't know.
Maybe that's in the States. I mean,
Yeah.
they're obviously not getting any better results.
I've seen some of the judges, man. There's no way.
Look at the boxing one. The guy was on his phone when he was fucking. What the fuck?
There's people's careers at stake, though, and like last night, I'm not just saying it because he's my friend. I would say 29, 28 to Nathaniel. I know I'm biased, but I could understand 29, 28 the other way. I can see that. I can't see 30, 27. I just can't see it, and I'm just really bored of the commentators getting it wrong, and just like the commentators are ex-fighters, and then. Dominic Cruz is still fighting and he gets it wrong. And I'm thinking, are you really going in there and fighting to a criteria that you don't?
No, yeah, I think you're all right. But I do also think it is tough especially when you're sitting watching the fight live and you hear the commentators. I do feel you see a different fight than when you watch it without the commentators.
Yeah.
I do think that sways me as well. Sometimes I don't think I'm very good at scoring the fight. Sometimes I'll watch it. And then I'll maybe watch it back afterwards, and I'll completely change my opinion of how I scored and stuff. I don't know how much when I watch it, and the commentator just puts it in my head. Like, because they were talking about when I watched that Kenny and Wood fight, they were talking about they thought Kenny won the first round, and maybe I've just automatically thought that as well. You know, like I'm not sure. It does put in your head, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think you have to watch it a certain way to judge it. I like to watch it to enjoy fights, and then if it's close or something, I'll need to watch it back, and then I need to put my judging head on. I need to watch it a different way. I'd rather watch it for enjoyment. That's what I do. And then if it is controversial and we're going to talk about it, then I'll watch it back, and then I'll judge it properly. But if that's something I'm interested in now, I might look into doing. Start judging at local shows, get trained up, and see how hard it really is. Then I can get started.
I definitely want to go on Mark Goddard's course, like when COVID's over and he starts running them again, just because I want to be as educated as I can be in MMA in general. But
same with referees. Look at the Khabib fight. He was tapped a few times, didn't he? And
I think he's a great ref usually.
Yeah, it's very hard to be a referee. I think it's the hardest job in the business because you've got a fighter's careers on the line, you know what I mean? Or they could die if you don't get that call right and stuff.
You can only be the bad guy as well, can't you?
Exactly.
Yeah. Either nobody notices you're there or you're the bad guy. It's so true. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to be a judge. I think I'm really open in my biases. And how many people decide I'm on? No, as soon as I called in a result and somebody didn't like it, they'd be straight on my case.
It's the same with when your fighters loses, like Nathaniel. It's like a funeral for you, isn't it, Katie? You go in the morning for the.
I do. Andrew, I don't know how you deal with it, like as a coach. Like for me, I don't know these guys as well as you do with the people you train with every day. But like I talk to them a lot. Like some people I've interviewed like 7 or 8 times now, or I've met them at events loads, or some of them are my teammates, and like I know how much it means to them. I know how much they've put into it. I know how much they need the money of a win. I know, like you just know so much about their background, and then when they lose, you feel it so bad.
Yeah, definitely it is. You do get yourself involved. Do you just mean just losing in general, or when it's like a funny decision?
Like when it's somebody just in general. It's even worse when it's a bad decision, but like in general.
Take the Wood fight, right? An hour after the fight, Nathaniel tweeted or whatever and going, "Oh, it was unlucky, but it was a good fight." He got over it quite quickly. Katie was like, "I'm gonna kill that fucking judge."
No, and I think that's the right way to be. I'm sure he feels like that in his head. He's just trying to be a professional, and No, and a lot of times fighters are okay on the night. It's 2 weeks later that are kind of look, and they're getting hit in the head, and then they're suffering with, getting half their pay and feeling really sometimes embarrassed, sometimes down. How many fighters have had mental health issues, and they're doing it for shit money as well? Like these are all the things why I get like my emotional attachments to people.
I think it's better training. We need. I mean, we need to kind of get that sorted. We need to find out what their training is, and because it's obviously not good enough at the moment, and how the judges and all that get picked. I know local shows, they're just like, oh, hey mate, you want to fucking judge this fight and get on with that's it. This is
how much do you know for these local shows? Like, who do you get to do it? Like, you can't afford to pay like a qualified judge. So like, what do you do? It's like,
it's hard. It's tough.
Especially when it's like these your first couple of pro fights until you get a bad decision because it was crappy judges, but
it's like say for MMA, innit? You have to pay for the test and all that to fight on certain shows. It's hard.
But having said that makes like Khabib's 29-0 even more amazing when you think of all the things that can go wrong in an MMA fight, all of the weird things that happen, all of the accidental injuries that can happen, the disqualification that can happen, the bad judging that can happen, and he still managed to get an unblemished record.
What happened to John Jones? Remember, he got unlucky with that 12-6 elbow and he got done for that. So. And Khabib actually, he had a broken foot before that fight and 2 broken toes and the mumps, and he didn't tell anybody till after.
Legend. Well, that's all I've got for you guys, unless you've got anything else that you wanted to talk about tonight.
No, I think there was one question came up. I just wanted to pick up on it. It was the MMA Scotland just asking who I think was the GOAT of jiu-jitsu. All right, so for me, the GOAT of jiu-jitsu is Bjj Gracie. I mean, Bjj Gracie is the man. I mean, anybody who's ever met Bjj Gracie is an absolute gentleman. And this is always a question that comes up with a lot of people, whether a lot of jiu-jitsu people. So everybody's got a different opinion. The majority are swayed towards Bjj Gracie. I mean, there's a few Caio Terra, Marcelo Garcia, and things like that. But definitely Bjj Gracie is the man. So
thank you for that. I think there's one more down here from Bill the Butcher saying UK fighters wrestling has come a long way. How did they fix that problem? I know that Brad, like training at ATT and then bringing that back to Titan, that was a big help to those guys. What do you think the solution's been, Andrew?
Obviously, the growth of MMA has made all of us English fighters watch more wrestling and bring that way. I think British wrestling as a whole is still I'm not. There's obviously some really good people, but I think as a whole, it's definitely not the same standard as the rest of the world. But I think
should you bring that in your school?
So that would be amazing. I would love it if that happened. I actually volunteer at my kids' school and I teach some of the juniors kids just wrestling and stuff I do, which is quite cool. Obviously not at the minute with what's happening, but it's quite nice in school to let us do that as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's more just back to the question. It's more the English guys are just they're not learning. There's a lot of stuff that wouldn't really work in MMA. So we've just spent a lot of time just working on using the stuff that does work in MMA. I'd say that's probably how. I think we have closed the gap a bit.
Definitely, especially people like Nathaniel Jack Shaw. I think it's definitely head and shoulders above where it used to be.
I think for MMA it has. If it was maybe straight out wrestling, we're still not as anywhere near as good.
Yeah.
But I think the wrestling for MMA, I think we have closed the gap.
Remember Michael Bisping, his takedown defence was excellent, and then when you did get taken down, you got straight back up. Absolutely brilliant. It was spot on every time.
Yeah, who's another one who had this gas tank for days?
Yeah, like the first lot of them was like, say, it was Michael Bisping, Ross Pearson, Andre Winner, and they might not have had the best takedown defence, but they could scramble straight up every time.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, all of you. Really enjoyed tonight's show, and next week, I can't remember who's headlining next week. It's another great card next week, isn't it? MMA experts, none of us can remember.
It's no UFC. All Anderson's Halloween. Yeah, Anderson.
My girlfriend actually said that, not me.
Yeah.
That's the one. So it's Anderson last night.
We forgot him from the GOAT conversation, and now we're forgetting his retirement fight. How disrespectful can you be?
Oh, you'd be kidding.
Well, remember Uriah Hall was the one member you did the spinning kick knockout and all that fighter, and we're thinking he's the next Anderson Silva kind of thing, and now these two are finally fighting. I think they were meant to fight before, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Well, look forward to that and discussing that with you, Peter. Fight Fuel, thank you for your sponsorship, and everyone, thank you for joining us. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.